Hello, Yasar. Welcome to the program At the Edge of Tomorrow, which we prepared with contributions and research. As you know, At the Edge of Tomorrow also focuses precisely on the intersection points of technological and economic transformation. Today, we have another very important topic, the future of the financial world, specifically the burden on CFOs, that is, financial directors. The dizzying rise of artificial intelligence and the impacts of all these on humans. We have solid sources as well, Gartner's latest CFO reports, a striking analysis from Fortune, and a rather thought-provoking study from Harvard Business Review. Our mission is to extract the most valuable information from these sources for you. Where is finance heading? What should we pay attention to on this journey? We want to help you understand these. If you're ready, let's begin this in-depth journey into the future of finance. Now, being a CFO in the current economic climate is really a tough craft. On one side, there's pressure to cut costs. We always hear about it. On the other side, there's the obligation to protect the company's long-term health, that is, its future performance. Gartner's Q2 2025 survey already indicates this. Nearly half of CFOs are considering cutting expenses, and a quarter of them plan to suspend major projects due to uncertainty. So this is like walking a tightrope in stormy weather. So while establishing this balance, what strategic mistakes should CFOs avoid, and what should they pay attention to?
This is where Gartner points to three critical strategies to not only protect, but also enhance organizational resilience. Let me put it this way. First, the much-discussed cost optimization needs to be reconsidered with a truly strategic perspective. And of course, avoid common pitfalls. Second, investor relations. You must maintain transparency, but avoid overwhelming them with meaningless details. In other words, communicate just right, neither too much nor too little. Third, and perhaps most importantly, do not disrupt the evolution of the finance function with technology. That is, you should not jeopardize tomorrow's competitive advantage due to today's pressures. In short, the art is to manage both short-term emergencies and long-term vision simultaneously.
You mentioned cost optimization. We see that Gartner has debunked some approaches that have almost become urban legends in this area. The first one is very familiar. Making cuts equally across all departments is the fairest. It sounds logical, egalitarian, but I don't think that's really the case.
Not at all. In fact, this can mean strategic blindness rather than fairness, because not every expense in the company creates the same value. This approach of treating everyone equally could result in punishing our most efficient, highest value-generating units and protecting mediocre performers. Think of it like restricting the fuel of the car with the most powerful engine. What should actually be done is to protect, or even strengthen, the strategic expenditures that form the company's competitive advantage, those that competitors cannot easily imitate. In other, less critical areas, much bolder cuts can be made. It's not about fairness or treating everyone the same, but about wisely allocating resources according to strategic priorities.
So, in fact, treating everyone the same can be considered a form of injustice. So what about the second myth? We can get through this period with small, marginal interruptions. This seems like a less painful path for managers, doesn't it? Why is this also a misconception?
Because this approach generally only treats the symptoms. It does not address the underlying structural inefficiency problem. It's like constantly dressing minor wounds. In the short term, you may seem to manage the situation, but you hinder the organization from reaching its true potential. Additionally, it has a wearing effect on employees. Being in a constant tightening mode reduces motivation. Real transformation requires taking bold steps. Sometimes it is difficult, but it requires making clear choices among strategic priorities. Gartner says that focusing on more structural changes instead of these small interruptions is much healthier in the long run.
And the third, perhaps the most dangerous myth, is that innovation can be expected during times of economic contraction. Unfortunately, this is often the first reflex of many companies.
Yes, unfortunately. But this is equivalent to mortgaging the future. Innovation is not a hobby done in good times. It is a vital engine for the company's long-term health, competitiveness, and growth. Gartner also emphasizes this and says there are ways to keep innovation alive even when budgets are tight. For example, they suggest milestone-based financing. In other words, instead of providing all the resources at the beginning of an innovation project, finance is released gradually as the project proves it has achieved certain goals. This both preserves cash flow and allows close monitoring of the project's progress and flexibility to change direction if necessary. Stopping innovation means starting the race from behind when the storm subsides.
A very reasonable approach. After discussing the costs, let's move on to another critical area, namely investor communication. Predicting the future in uncertain times and sharing it with investors also requires a certain skill, I believe. Gartner says that companies either provide too little or too late information, or conversely, confuse with unnecessary details. How can this delicate balance be achieved? Being proactive is good, but isn't there also a risk of frightening the market?
This is a very valid concern. Gartner offers a practical three-step checklist to establish this balance. The first is to proactively manage risk perception. This means not only listing the risks that you are legally required to disclose, but also building trust by concretely explaining how these risks could impact your business and, more importantly, what measures you have taken to mitigate them. The second is to demonstrate with evidence why the company's competitive advantage remains resilient even under these challenging conditions. Differences in your products, your brand strength, and examples of how you have overcome similar crises in the past. Supporting these with concrete data and reaffirming your commitment to a long-term vision reassures investors. Thirdly, to strengthen this narrative with digital tools, especially artificial intelligence. For example, using generative AI, the type that can produce new content such as text and visuals like Gen AI, you can analyze publicly available data and market trends to develop sharper insights for your investor presentations. This makes you more convincing and also makes your communication process more efficient.
I understand. So beyond all these external pressures and communication strategies, how is the finance department itself transforming? Gartner talks about 8 major forces that will reshape finance by 2030. Among these are decision-making under machine dominance, a workforce composed of AI agents, and even somewhat frightening topics like isolated businesses and a talent crisis in finance. How are these forces shaping the future of finance?
These powers truly threaten to fundamentally shake up the finance function. For example, the idea of a workforce composed of these artificial intelligence agents. This is no longer science fiction. Isn't it? Artificial intelligence is no longer just an analysis tool. It is starting to take on roles as a teammate within our teams, even acting as a supervisor in some routine tasks. Gartner's forecast is very clear. Within the next 3 years, 1/3 of enterprise software will feature what we call AI agents, artificial intelligences capable of performing tasks independently. By 2030, 15% of daily operational decisions will be made not by humans, but entirely by autonomous AI systems. This means that the roles of human employees will change, managing AI, training it, collaborating with it, and of course focusing on strategic, creative, and empathetic tasks that AI cannot perform.
This table is certainly exciting on one hand, but on the other hand, when combined with the headline of a financial talent crisis, it makes you think quite a bit. I mean, our way of doing business is fundamentally changing, and will there be a shortage of human resources to keep up with this change?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Especially in traditional finance roles, such as sworn financial advisors, CPAs, and similar fields, experienced professionals are retiring, and unfortunately, new graduates with the same number and competence are not replacing them. In contrast, demand for new generation finance talents who are proficient in technology, capable of data analysis, and able to use artificial intelligence tools is skyrocketing. Hybrid roles that combine financial knowledge with IT and data science skills will become prominent in the future finance departments. This presents a significant challenge for both university education programs and corporate talent management strategies. Planning this talent transformation should definitely be at the top of CFOs' agendas.
There is also a period of intermittent regulatory change in the list. I don't think this makes things easier.
It's not making it easier. In the past, legal regulations were more predictable and changed more slowly. But now factors like technology, geopolitical risks, and sustainability cause the regulatory environment to change much more rapidly, suddenly, and sometimes in conflicting ways. This forces you to balance the operational efficiency gained through technology with the cost of quickly adapting to these changes. Automating your systems is great, but you also need the agility and flexibility to instantly adapt these automated systems to constantly changing rules. This requires separate investments and competencies.
I understand. The rise of decision-making in machine control and DIY technologies are also other important factors. What do these practically mean? Especially, how does this DIY issue affect the role of the finance department? It raises the question of what will be needed for finance professionals if everyone can do their own analysis.
Decision-making under machine control increasingly involves automating routine, data-driven decisions such as inventory management and cash flow optimization. Gartner predicts that by 2028, 70% of financial functions will utilize connected device data and AI analytics for operational costs and cash flow management. Self-service technologies enable other business units, such as sales, marketing, and operations, to perform their own data analysis and reporting without relying on the finance department. This has become much easier with low-code platforms. Gartner estimates that spending in this area will reach $41 billion by 2028. While empowering and accelerating these business units, there is a risk that the finance department may become disconnected from the big picture and strategic context. If everyone looks at their own data and makes their own interpretations, inconsistencies could arise, right? The role of finance here is not just to provide data, but to interpret it correctly, to offer a holistic perspective by combining different analyses, and to guide strategic decisions. In other words, the issue is empowering business units without losing control. This also requires a new balance.
I understand. All these technological leaps and efficiency gains sound great, but there's another side to the coin, isn't there? It was also emphasized in Gartner's Fortune article. I think the concept of the increasingly isolated business points exactly to this. As artificial intelligence takes over tasks and efficiency peaks, are we perhaps weakening the most valuable asset of companies, the human factor, meaning the bonds between us?
This is truly a point that needs to be emphasized, perhaps the most critical and sensitive aspect of this transformation. The research in Harvard Business Review also focuses on this paradox, and its findings are quite striking. As the use of artificial intelligence increases, yes, individual productivity also increases, no doubt about that. However, at the same time, employees report feelings of loneliness, isolation, and ironically, a greater need to connect with other people. Researchers in different countries, Taiwanese engineers, Indonesian consultants, Malaysian employees, have obtained similar results in their experiments. Those who have intense interactions with AI report more loneliness, insomnia, and even post-work alcohol consumption compared to those who interact less with colleagues. But there is an interesting counterpoint. Employees experiencing loneliness tend to help their colleagues more, almost as if trying to compensate for the lost connection.
Wow, this is really an interesting dilemma. So why is feeling a little lonely at work such a big problem? After all, we're there to do our job.
Because the workplace is not just a place where tasks are performed, but also a very important social environment for us. Strong social bonds directly influence employees' commitment to the company, motivation, creativity, and overall well-being. People are more productive when they feel valued and part of a team. This is well established. On the other hand, feelings of isolation and loneliness lead to burnout, alienation from work, absenteeism, and ultimately leaving the company. It's important to remember that even the most advanced artificial intelligence systems can be copied or outperformed by your competitors sooner or later. But a talented, committed, motivated workforce that maintains good relationships with each other is much harder to copy. It is a sustainable competitive advantage. Neglecting people while embracing technology could ultimately undermine our own foundation in the long run.
Yes, what you said aligns very well. The LinkedIn data in the Fortune article also seemed to support this concern. Half of the employees see artificial intelligence learning as an additional burden. The share of overwhelmed feelings about coping with change has increased by 82%. Moreover, 1/3 are ashamed of their ignorance regarding artificial intelligence, and 35% are hesitant to even talk about it because they fear appearing uninformed. I believe this indicates not only a technological challenge, but also a serious cultural and psychological change management need.
The HBR article actually offers guiding recommendations for companies on this very topic. First, closely monitor employee well-being. It's important to focus not only on performance metrics, but also on employees' engagement levels, job satisfaction, and perceptions of social support. Regular surveys, one-on-one meetings, and pulse checks are essential to continuously assess the situation and proactively develop support mechanisms. Second, redesign workflows with a human-centered approach. Instead of simply adding artificial intelligence as a patch to existing processes, it is necessary to create new workflows that combine the strengths of humans and machines, enhancing employee autonomy, sense of control, and the meaning of their work. AI should take over mundane tasks, freeing up time for humans to engage in more strategic, creative, and fulfilling activities. Thirdly, see artificial intelligence not only as a tool for efficiency and automation, but also as a means to enrich the human experience at work. We should consciously use the time AI gives us to support employees' social and emotional needs. Companies should create dedicated times and spaces that strengthen face-to-face interactions and team bonds. These can be formal team activities, but also informal coffee breaks, social events, or even perhaps lunch gatherings. The key is to foster a corporate culture that encourages social interaction and truly values it. The goal should be to use AI not only to make work faster, but also more meaningful, more human, and more satisfying. After all, technology exists for us, not the other way around.
These are truly important balances that require careful consideration. To summarize, the financial world is transforming irreversibly with artificial intelligence and other powerful technological and economic waves. While CFOs are battling immediate issues like costs and uncertainty, they also have to take strategic steps that will shape the future, such as technology investments and talent transformation. And while artificial intelligence offers incredible potential for efficiency and insights, if not managed carefully, it can also lead to serious human costs like isolation and loneliness.
Exactly. That is why placing humans at the center of this technological transformation is critically important. Success will not come simply from adopting the latest technology. True success will come from integrating this technology in a way that considers the well-being of employees, the bonds between them, and the meaning of work. In other words, a human-centered approach. We should use the opportunities offered by technology to further unlock human potential and make work richer and more valuable. We need to see the big picture and remember that ultimately, technology should serve humans. So, perhaps we should end our in-depth analysis today with a question that everyone should consider. As the future of finance inevitably digitalizes, how will we place humans at the core of this transformation and prevent technology from alienating us from each other? See you next week in a new episode of At the Edge of Tomorrow.